Board meeting, August 25th, 2025 to order. Looks like it's about, what, 20 after 6? And we need a roll call.
Doxy.
Here.
Karas. Anastasio.
Here.
Bhatia.
Here.
DeGroot.
He's here. Trustee Venturini and Trustee Washburn are excused. So the next item is Pledge of Allegiance. Join us. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Okay, so the first on the agenda is a proclamation that we are giving to Davis Driver, thanking him for his long service in the Village of Mount Pleasant.
Who's reading the proclamation?
Hey, is Davis here?
Yeah, back there.
You want to come up? You can join me at the podium. Good evening, Davis. Good evening. So I'm going to read this proclamation, and it's got like a lot of whereases in it, so I'm sure attorneys were involved in it at some point. Whereas, and again, it's a proclamation thanking Davis Driver for over 27 years of service to the Village of Mount Pleasant. Whereas, Davis R. Driver has continuously served on the Mount Pleasant Plan Commission since 1998, became its vice chairman in 2008 and chairman in 2015. And whereas Driver maintained an attendance rate of well above 90%, participating in over 400 Plan Commission meetings and comprehensive planning sessions during his tenure. And whereas Driver consistently encouraged members of the public to participate in community growth discussions and voice their perspectives during Plan Commission meetings. And whereas Driver provided valuable input on several revisions to village ordinances and zoning codes, including when the town of Mount Pleasant incorporated as a village in 2003, gaining more local control over its future growth. And whereas Driver shared insight and extensive research during the complex discussions leading up to the creation of Tax Incremental District Number 5 in 2017, which has resulted in more than $1.5 billion of incremental property value. And whereas Driver has volunteered on more than a dozen other boards that serve Racine County, including for the Racine Zoo and Kiwanis Club of West Racine. And whereas Driver has been a resident of Mount Pleasant since 1982, when he and his wife Lisa, whom he married that same year, bought their first home on Spring Street. And whereas Driver participated in his final Plan Commission meeting as commissioner and chairman on August 20th, 2025. So now, therefore, be it proclaimed that the Village Board of Trustees for the Village of Mount Pleasant, on behalf of the citizens of Mount Pleasant and the staff of village government, extends its appreciation to Driver for his exemplary volunteer service and positive influence on the community's prosperity.
I would just like to thank the village board, trustees, staff for all of the confidence and support they've shown me over all these years. It's really appreciated. I've made many friends, which I will never forget. Thank you all. Thank you.
Okay, so the next item is public comment. Members of the public are welcome to provide comments on any matter. Please fill out a comment form, and the president will recognize you. Use the microphone, state your name and address for the public record. Comments are limited to 3 minutes. May I hear from Jennifer Morin? Well, the future business is not, we don't have a public hearing.
Yeah, unless it's, yeah,
What?
unless it's for, let me see. where she- Yeah, there's no public hearing on the plat, so this is the time. Yeah.
Hi, my name is Jennifer Moran. I live at 6010 Braun Road, Mount Pleasant in, Mount Pleasant. I'm so used to saying Racine for, for mailing things. Hopefully we're getting that fixed too, right? Okay, tonight I'm here to hold the village board accountable for failure to act within reason, to act knowing that there is danger to the homes of those who surround this development, and to point to both the solution and consequences of voting in favor of passing this plat tonight. There's 2 issues. The legality of even developing this lot should be questioned as it appears as an adopted priority protection area on the 2050 village plan. I know there's a lot of back and forth, but it is on there. And that decision to protect it was the result of a 2-year scientific study. It was not done lightly. That's why it's there. And the reason that it's there is because, the village told us that they didn't have a plan for it, but that's not the truth. They told us that they had to follow the plan when increasing density, but they didn't follow the plan of protection. I know I'm not the first one to bring up these concerns. I'm here to record one more time so we can demonstrate negligence if this goes sideways, because the board seems so intent on development that they can't see their constituency anymore. There's another reason to follow your plan. Let's begin with demonstrating that due process has been denied by the village with the issue of water. I checked in the current plat, which I've been told is preliminary. Okay, I get that, but it doesn't meet the minimum requirements suggested by the Root Pike Watershed Initiative Network. I realize it's a suggestion, but the plat in question before us suggests no water retainment, no water abatement plan, or even knowledge of what the challenges have been communicated to us. The village has been confronted by by community members before, and the village has had ample time to prepare answers for us regarding water. We would like to have answers before we go forward, because while we've been hearing from the developer that they won't put basements, I have a basement. I can't not have a basement. That's just not going to happen. We don't want flooding on our properties, especially for those of us on Braun Road. I'm alarmed at learning that there are agricultural drainage ties in the field, and without them, there'd be ponds. Neighbors have told me that there are several. They're highly regulated. I realize that all that gets dealt with, but my neighbor to the east who built her house told me that many years ago they didn't build on this parcel because pumps would have been needed to installed to keep the water from being an issue. I quote neighbors when I say that this parcel has always had drainage issues. The village has no excuse to not know that water is an issue, and the solution to not build basements is simply not enough. I'm told that we have one neighbor on Old Green Bay who tried to build a house on the edge that had springs come up when he tried to build. Please table this until a water plan is in place. Thank you.
Okay. Can I hear from Dan Paulson?
Good evening, Board of Trustees and residents. I'm Dan Paulson. I am a foreigner in that I come from Oak Creek, but I was a former Mount Pleasant resident and will be a Mount Pleasant resident again since our daughter and her husband are living in Mount Pleasant and she's going to be having a baby, so we're moving back here. Last Tuesday evening, on Tuesday the 19th, MH Imaging, a medical imaging center, and the trophy shop had a 500 backpack giveaway with school supplies for those who were in need. This backpack giveaway was part of a school project for Dr. Hatfield's son, who is Malcolm Hatfield III. He's referred to as Trey. I wanted to come here tonight to commend not only the village of Mount Pleasant, but the president, Dave DeGroot, for his unbelievable, unexplainable involvement in this event to help make it happen. This event would not have been as successful as it was if it was not for the fine president you have. It crosses all political lines. His concern was education, that children get the right supplies and materials for education. The city, who usually gave us a press release, refused, so I didn't invite the mayor. I was put in charge of the event because I had done all the previous events for MH Imaging. And President DeGroot loaned us Sean Ryan at 5 o'clock on a Thursday evening before the event. And at 2 o'clock in the morning, I had a press release from him. And he released it to dozens and dozens of media sources, which resulted in interviews with President DeGroot and Trey Hatfield. They did them jointly. Present at the event was Senator Wangard, Representative Whitkey, the Superintendent of Schools, Miss Wisconsin, and Miss Teen Racine, and President DeGroot. I, on the behalf of the Hatfield family, want to thank each and every trustee for their confidence and support. I especially think that President DeGroot should be commended because of all the very important people that were invited to this event. He was the only one that took the time to meet privately with Dr. Hatfield's son, Trey. And it was important to the program that he was in and the project that he's involved in becoming valedictorian of Case High School, that he be engaged with at least one of the VIPs. And I called President DeGroot and asked him if he would do so, and he said without question he would, and would attend the interviews with him. So,
Dan, if you'd wrap it up.
okay. End point being, President DeGroot provided an extremely positive public image for the village of Mount Pleasant. And he provided us with resources to help make the event successful. I would also like to thank the Chief of Police for his kind donation of 2 officers at the event. Thank you very much. And Mount Pleasant is a great and wonderful place to live with the Board of Trustees that you have now in front of you.
Thank you for your kind words. Okay, so I don't have anybody else signed up for public comment. Anybody wishing to speak? Not hearing from anybody, we can close public comment, and we'll move on to the consent agenda.
Mr. President, I make a motion to approve the items on the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
So I hear a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So that motion carries. So let's jump down to new business. We have public hearing ordinance 12-2025 zoning text amendment, section 90-420.100 parking area layout and design. In this, following a brief discussion by the staff, I'll open the public hearing. If you wish to speak, please fill out a public hearing form, which is on a table near the entrance. Once recognized, speakers should come to the podium and identify themselves with their name and address. Please speak clearly into the microphone. Speakers must direct all discussions towards the board. I will not allow interchange between members of the audience and the petitioner. We request that you not interfere with nor interject comments while another person has the floor. This is to ensure a respectful and orderly process. Please keep all comments on the particular item before the board and at most 5 minutes. Finally, to ensure a focused and productive hearing, please turn off or mute all electronic devices. Sam, your show.
Mr. President, trustees, the Board of Appeals received multiple zoning variance applications. Sorry, wrong one. Let me get to the right one here. We're on the map amendment.
12-2025 is what we're looking at.
Oh, that was the right one, Sam.
Oh, the one on the screen, we're on B.
Yes, screen is wrong. That's
Can you go back to
Dustin's
A, please?
Hey, Dustin.
Where's A not there?
Looks like there isn't an A on the
Oh,
screen.
well, we'll just move ahead then.
Okay.
Sorry for the confusion. The Board of Appeals received multiple zoning variance applications for parking area layout and design in 2025. The variance asked for relief from mandatory parking area layout and design requirements listed within section 90-420.100. The Board of Appeals approved both variances. When the Board of Appeals receives multiple similar petitions, the village staff typically bring forward zoning text amendments to reduce the need for variances in the future. The proposed changes expand the alternative dimensions allowances for parking area design, which were formerly related only to truck parking. Under the expanded allowances, an applicant may apply for different dimensions if, 1, a professional engineer submits plans and a narrative describing the necessity of different dimensions. 2, the approval body determines the alternative plans meet health, safety, and welfare objectives. 3, alternative dimensions modify the listed standard by 10% or less. 4, the alternative design maintains the allowable ratios of compact spaces. 5, any increase in impervious surfaces and pavement is treated via bioswales, rain guards, or permeable pavers. And 6, very large truck parking requires additional landscaping and taxable buildings on the property. The village staff believe these modified ordinances will permit greater flexibility in parking design while maintaining the high-quality landscaping, screening, and taxable value goals previously set by both the Plan Commission and the Village Board. The Plan Commission recommends that the Village Board moves to approve Ordinance 12-2025, and the village staff do not believe the ordinances will significantly increase the cost of development from existing standards.
Okay, so at this point, I open up to the public. If anybody wishes to speak again on this item. For or against? It's just, for our part, it's a little bit of housekeeping, it's cleanup. Not hearing from anybody. We can close public comment on the hearing, and then we can move to motion.
Mr. President, I make a motion to approve ordinance 12-2025, amending the municipal code of ordinances, chapter 90-420.100 pertaining to parking area layout and design as presented.
Second.
So I hear a motion and a second. Any discussion from the board on the amendments? It's pretty straightforward. So we'll take a roll call vote.
Doxy,
Aye.
Karas,
Aye.
Anastasio,
Aye.
Batya,
Aye.
DeGroot,
Aye, motion carries. So let's move into the next public hearing, which is regarding ordinance 13-2025, and it's a zoning map amendment for 712 Newman Road, ZMA 25-08. Back to Sam.
Mr. President, trustees, the applicant applied to reapportion this lot with 702 Newman Road. They intend Lot 2 to give 1.167 acres to Lot 1, and with some land allocated for public right-of-way. This process allows for zoning map amendment from RE to RL for a new detached house. The applicant's vision is for their parents to downsize, which would require being under the 2,500 square foot minimum for the RE district. The property is currently zoned RE. The other parcel is petitioning for the CSM to RL via CSM 2505, which was on the consent agenda. The Plan Commission recommends that the Village Board moves to approve Ordinance 13-2025. This help the land division meet the base zoning district standards of Chapter 90, and the intended single-family home is allowable by right in the RL zoning district. The village staff would review any proposed developments on the subject parcels for compliance with the zoning chapter. And the village staff conducted a fiscal analysis as part of CSM 2505. In short, to summarize that staff report, this slightly increases the fiscal performance of the parcels, as a new home on the property would be valued likely more than the existing home. And this went through the review processes and procedures per Chapter 90.
Okay, I have nobody signed up to speak to this matter. Anybody here that wanted to speak to 712 Newman Road? Not hearing from anybody, we can close comment on that particular public hearing, and we'll entertain a motion.
Mr. President, I make a motion to approve ordinance 13-2025, amending the zoning map for 712 Newman Road as presented.
Second.
So I hear a motion and a second. Any thoughts from the board, questions for Sam, further follow-up? All happy with that? I can call the vote.
Doxy,
Aye.
Karas,
Aye.
Anastasio,
Aye.
Batya,
Aye.
DeGroot,
Aye, that motion carries. So let's move on to discussion and possible motion of South Green Bay Road preliminary plat, PSP-25-0001.
Mr. President, the agenda is to ask for the motion on this property, but based on the input that I have seen from the residents, I'm not comfortable to make that motion. So I guess I'm asking you, and I'm asking our attorney, can I make the motion to table this? Because if the motion carries, then that's fine. If not, then I'll make the motion as per the agenda.
Yes, you can do that.
Okay. In that case, based on the concern that I have heard from the resident, my main concern is, although the new development would not have the basement, but the existing development have the basement, and if there's any risk of flooding, I think we need to take a look at that. That's my number one. Okay. Before I go, I see Sam has a hand and so maybe he can respond to that.
Yeah, I just want to.
Well, we've got to have a second on your motion before.
No, I have not yet made the motion, yeah.
Well, I really don't want to get into the discussion, though, until I have a motion to have a discussion.
Well, it's up to you. You can recognize whoever you'd like.
Sam, did you want to address this now?
I just wanted to address a specific portion of it, and I can get into the full staff report at your direction. But I feel like there's a specific ordinance in your approval processes and procedures that may influence how you feel about taking either a table or voting for approval tonight. And that is section 74-4.6 of the Land Division chapter, which is chapter 74 of your Code of Ordinances. Under stormwater management and erosion and sedimentation control, it specifically states, and this is the entire section, following approval of the preliminary plat and prior to approval of the final plat, stormwater and sedimentation control plans and specifications shall be submitted for review and approval in accordance with village stormwater management and erosion and sedimentation control ordinance. So essentially, your own ordinances state that, yes, they do need to submit stormwater plans, but your ordinances specify the time at which to do that is between the preliminary plat and the final plat. Now, you can do with that what you will, but that is the process that your current ordinances lay out. And Tony can answer any questions specifically regarded to engineering or stormwater standards or things like that, but those are all reviewed through the Department of Public Works.
So that process is laid out by ordinance.
Yeah, well, based on that, information, thank you, Sam, for confirming that. I make a motion to approve the sanctuary at Pike River preliminary subdivision PSP-25-1, subject to the condition contained within the end notes.
Second.
So I hear a motion and a second. Anybody have any follow-up question for Sam, regarding some of the things that were said during public comment or elsewise?
So I have actually a question for Sam on the preliminary plot and the final, and that is, if we allow to start the preliminary, are we bound by law then to allow, do we have to go forward to the final, or can we deny it if we don't like what we see?
You are bound by law to approve a final plat. However, if it largely conforms with the preliminary plat. However, there is that time between the preliminary and final where they need to submit civil engineering plans. So if they submit civil engineering plans, the preliminary plat still has to comply with all the stormwater ordinances. So if they find the layout of this plat is just not feasible due to engineering standards, Tony comes back and says, these ponds can't detain the amount of water that you need, or the DNR says you can't impact these specific wetlands without other types of permits, then they would need to revise the preliminary plat. So they can't just go directly from preliminary to final. They still have to kind of check all the engineering boxes between now and then before you could issue final plat approval.
Okay, thank you, Sam. I brought forward the information that I received about this being a unprotected infrastructure. And so I'm wary about it, and I know that we have to worry about the water issues with this, but in the Plans Commission meeting the other day, what I was led to understand is that they will have to be paying a lot of attention to the drain tiles, figuring out where they're at, and doing anything they have to do to fix those issues that might arise. And when I look at the whole property, I see we've gone from having apartment buildings down to having owner-occupied housing, and a lot more land in there. So I'm more for this at this point, but I guess we have to let it go into the preliminary in order to let them see if it's feasible to build on that land, from what I'm understanding.
And if it helps, Mr. President, I can read a couple conditions that might also influence the board in the packet specifically.
By all means.
So in our section where we analyze consistency with the comprehensive plan, The Park and Open Space Plan for the Village of Mount Pleasant, which is your most up-to-date plan regarding public open space protection, identifies this area as a priority protection area under the Pike River Watershed Plan. Per page 47 of the Park and Open Space Plan, it says the Pike River Watershed Plan also includes recommendations for improving water quality and managing stormwater through such measures as establishing stream buffers, restoring wetlands, naturalizing detention basins, and managing agricultural practices to reduce soil and pollutant runoff. The Park and Open Space Plan does not identify any acreage within the subject parcel for permanent public ownership or protection. So, with that knowledge, we included condition number 2 of the subject conditions, which reads, following approval of the preliminary plat and prior to approval of the final plat, stormwater and sedimentation control plans and specifications shall be submitted for review and approval in accordance with Village Stormwater Management and Erosion and Sedimentation Control Ordinance per Section 74-4.6, which I just read to you. Per the recommendations in the Pike River Watershed Plan, these stormwater management and erosion and sedimentation controls should include native landscaping, restore wetlands where possible, and include naturalized stormwater detention facilities. So that's how we're trying to take those recommendations of the Pike River Watershed Plan. While we're not mandating full protection of the parcel and it's not identified for that, there are numerous roads shown on our proposed roads layer that go through the property. So to balance all of those goals, we thought that condition was warranted, and the Plan Commission agreed.
Did you have any other thoughts from the Plan Commission point of view?
Yes, at the planning commission, I voted for the recommendation for the board to approve that. But since the planning commission, like I said, one of the residents called and I was outside, I was not home, so I couldn't take any notes, and they followed with a long email, and my main concern is, I understand, my main concern is about the tiles. I understand that there are 50+ years old clay tiles, and I also understand that as a part of the stormwater planning, those tiles, they will be or they must be rerouted. Is that correct, Sam and Tony?
Either rerouted or connected into a re-engineered stormwater management plan.
Okay.
So
Yes, yeah, so my concern based on the additional information I have is, how do we ensure that in that rerouting or the engineering, like you said, between the preliminary plot and now the final, how do we ensure that the existing homeowners would not have any risk of flooding? That's my number one concern. Everything else we have addressed, we addressed at the planning commission, and it can be addressed, but I don't want to be in a position where down the road, although the new homes would not have the basement, but the existing one have the basement, and if they have any risk of the flooding, that's my number one concern. And I want to hear, before I decide how to vote, how to alleviate my concern. If you
It
can
might be
have.
a question more for Tony.
Sure, yeah. Trustee Bhatia, there's going to be numerous protections as far as drain tiles go during these developments, and you're mostly going to find them during utility construction. So and that's a full-time inspection for any public infrastructure by the village. So if a tile's hit in a utility trench, it's either reconnected if it's water sanitary, or if possible, connected into a storm sewer. If it's hit during basement construction, those are typically found by the building department or the excavator, and those are required by the village to be rerouted around the foundation. So there are numerous protections out there to make sure that these tiles continue to function as they do or are routed appropriately.
No further question.
Okay. Jerry?
No.
Okay, so what's in front of us then is a motion to approve the preliminary plat, and we'll do a roll call.
Doxy,
Aye.
Karas,
Aye.
Anastasio,
Aye.
Bhatia,
Aye.
DeGroot.
Aye. So the motion carries. The preliminary plat is approved, and that's one step towards building a new subdivision. And stay tuned for more. Last thing we have then is introduction of Resolution 10-2025, which is discontinuing a portion of Megan's Way. Is there a motion?
Motion.
I'm sorry, my
Megan's
mind was
Way.
still on me. Mr. President, I make a motion to approve Resolution 10-2025, discontinuing a portion of Megan's Way.
Second.
So I hear a motion and a second. Update us on Megan's Way?
Yes, so when the Phase 2 of Megan's Way, Phase 2 of Tivoli Green near Village Hall constructed Megan's Way, there was a small portion where it bent slightly differently, so this is to discontinue the unneeded portion of that right-of-way. The introduction of this resolution, your consideration tonight, starts the public notice process, although there aren't a lot of neighbors out there because the petitioner is the adjacent landowner. We do have to go through a statutory process, which includes recording a lis pendens at the Register of Deeds, publishing a Class 3 notice, and holding a public hearing in likely October at this point. So this kind of is just you all blessing us beginning that public notification process to discontinue the right-of-way.
So let's do it. So regarding Resolution 10-2025, roll call, please.
Doxy,
Aye.
Karas,
Aye.
Anastasio,
Aye.
Bhatia,
Aye.
DeGroot,
Aye, motion carries. I don't see anything else, so we could use one last motion.
Mr. President, motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. We stand adjourned. Thank you very much.